Muito bons patrocinadores do Roto. A minha respeito, a minha agradece a colega minha de Sira. Nebe ia biban idane, mai halo abertura, evento TLNOG da Ruagnian. Título ka tema evento TLNOG da Ruagnian, melhora no mos foco e a segurança nacional da rede e a Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste Network Operators Group, TLNOG, halau evento anual ba dala rua, o tema TLNOG Rua Network Security Workshop and Conference. Evento ho workshop lorong rua no conference lorong ida, lorong rua workshop kona ba network security, hamuto ko instrutor parceria husi Asia Pacific Network Information Center, APNIC, nomos Internet Society, ISOC, hamuto ko Afan Basalama, no assistência husi Warren Finch, acompanha no kapasita participantes sirhoto, kung ba network security ka segurança da rede. Timor Telecom, hanisan provedor oficial internet, ba evento TLNOG Ruanian, sponsor Platinum, makanisan Sacomtel, APNIC, ISOC, nomos APNIC Foundation, turifali ho sponsor Gold, makanisan Timor Telecom, Flex Optics, Team Kaimru, nomos Ionize, tuir fali ho sponsor Bronze, makanisan Gadamor ISP. Dia TLNOG, nudar associação ida, ho fim sem lucrativo, organização independente, nebe iha compromisso ba avanço no hasai operação rede iha Timor-Leste, serve nessa fórum kamahon ba engenheiros rede, operadores, nomos técnicos profissionais roto iha Timor-Leste. A missão atu facilita troca conhecimento técnico, fornece capacitação local, nomos promove adaptação ba boas práticas, onde metem estabilidade, segurança, no crescimento de infraestrutura, internet e a Timor-Leste. TLNOG estabelece ia agosto tinan riun rua nolo resinhat, ho ni evento da huluk ia TLNOG primeiro, nebe halau ho lorontolo workshop, no loro ida tomak ba conferência. TLNOG alcança um sucesso significativo ira, ou oficialmente registrado em julho de 2025 e notariado do Ministério da Justiça Timor-Leste. Então, evento TLNOG Rua nebe ohin italao e tinendene retan participação dos entusiasmo engenheiros Timor-Oan Lubukira, nós participação macas os parceiros religiões. Então, evento idanês ser mata e a Loron Sexta, 21 de novembro, o conferência, o seminário com a base de segurança rede, TLNOG Rua Network Security Conference. E a marca presença bem na especial se APNIC, diretor-geral Jerong Low, numa sua excelência brigadeiro-general, Sr. José da Costa Soares Trix, chefe do Estado-Maior da FFDTL. Hamutuk mos horadores no peritos Sirahu Sirailaran, no mos reliur, fahe experiência, conhecimentos de boas práticas será. Dia termai talvez ita hakarakatene TLNOG primeiro ninilaw na estaida. E a momento ne ba TLNOG primeiro o tema Community Event Gathering 2024. Ami halaw konferensya lorong ida no workshop lorong tolo ko na ba internet routing ba inistidor sira no konferensya lorong ida. Ni patrocinador sira maghusi apnik yung momento ne ba Red Star Matrolink no sira sultan. Yung momento na ba media la fahek mak halo cobertura ba amni evento ne. Diak turmai ami convide tabot sira no dar ima religion 9 ami convide tabot sira molok ita hui tania evento ita sa ita orasta. Al favor hambre kodita pesa. Ode Padre, Filho do Espírito Santo, Naranama. Aman lalehan na Santíssima Trindade, am agradeço babiban idane, ode ami hotu hola oportunidade idane, ode fahay amnia matenek, ami agradece ba tempo no fatin, no ne ami bele harikutan amni conhecimento e a área aitenian. Ami gusto ato ne maroma karagbensa no graça hotu ne be ami precisa balontolog nian no tulong na fatin sa nibe maklahetan oportunidade. Ami agradece nai. Ami haron niyo ni Jesus Cristo hamuto ko Espírito Santo. Glória para Padre, para Filho e para Espírito Santo. Dar corasne tinambatin na fatin. Amém. Para Padre, Filho e Espírito Santo. Amém. Obrigado. Turfal. Dia turma agenda para lorongohinian. Primeiro abertura, que master ceremony, nebe halao na abertura, mas be antes nele ita se halao na processo registro, no distribui t-shirt, ho birch, nebe mak ita bot se usa, ho cor azul, furak tebes, no agenda nebe mak ita selao o in loronian, se iha breve introdução socorro nian, se unidade de apoio FFDTL nian, Sr. Ferres Isaac Mendes, no tuirho presidente TLNOG nian, nebe max se hato breve palavras de boas-vindas, no iha depois de breves palavras, ita continua a abertura, balorong nian, no ihamos workshop ba sessão da dernia no locragnian e sessão hat inclui intervalo café no pausa ba café nian no ne ita ba tama ba programa tuir nian ita fo tempo ba senhor Arferes Isaac Mendes pode hato breve introdução socorro nian ma ita tempo no fating ami entrega.
Diek, obrigado a MC NB por a oportunidade de a organização oficial segurança e a quartel-general nian. Uluk na hau ni respeito ba presidente TLNOG, NB escolha fati a quartel-general por halau workshop idane. Nós fobibang ba oficial segurança unidade bele partilha informações NB maka ia instalação ni rasi. E vamos lá halu hau ni respeito oficiais sargento praças militares sira neve marca presença e a workshop né e lá no respeito mos ba participantes toba how la temi instrução ida por ida e no mos no respeito ba sor internacional sira neve marca rola parte mos e evento né dia e né e instalações quartel general e ligado ba serviço de informações militar repressão segurança militar haremos planos de segurança contra informações. Então, a contra informações tem how se apresenta tua agenda de maneira. How se hakatliu, baliu e objetivo de maka precisa e tabo tira a tua tenda. Tama tempo de forbarrau e é minuto máximo minuto sanulo. Dia, e é maka agenda e tu fale how bakere se é referência hierak nemak fobi amba hau bele marca presença fatina ne bele partilha informações tuir hierarquia militar não existe e quartel general e é objetivo se a apresentação irane segurança militar faz informações com a implementação medidas de segurança militar e a quartel general ligado ao contra incêndios e é então você fatina ne how se faz informações com a carik moço incêndio ruma nebe makia são medidas que o quartel-general se halo e também se precisa para informações. Tuir é missão não é uma tutela bahau, mas oficial de segurança é responsável com a responsável perante comandante ou INSEF ligado a planeamento, coordenação ou preparação de medidas de segurança contra informações deve marcar e a fatina inclui supervisar instrução de segurança militar segurança militar, civil, roto e quartel-general. Nomos unidade sira. E no estado final, se partilha informações de maka participante sira e conhecimento, pronto no preparado, o enhira moço incêndio. E tu irmã bacas e plano contingência. E a plano contingência segurança contra informações militar, how focaliu bahia contra incêndios. E o plano de defesa imediata se mais rusi forceira neve instala o quartel-general e a unidade de apoio quartel-general. E a equipa neve se apoio o enhira moço incêndio. E depois o plano de emergência, se o plano de emergência vai evacuação, carik na hira hene orsida tahatene hare diria que a mapa batirak ne se lautir corredor neve ia ou se ia planta emergência neve maka tudo plano contra incêndios no plano de evacuação. E não é maka exemplo didático neve maka ia e serviço de informações militar adapta turnia procedura sira neve maka e ta foti hosi referência barak e anaba com sinais incêndios e alarma dadau kita ni alarma ela funciona mas ia medidas neve militar halo maka usa arpito atau el símbolo arpito wande ne arpito quando oficial dia o sargento dia sira rua arpito neve maka konia tenis bai alarma nian significa ia incêndios neve maka ia quartel general então ia tu irmã ia exemplo didático serna ia instrutor ia mangueira hamate ahinian ia equipa neve maka estabelece ia quartel general kare sira inicia basikurus nebe mak baite hirak nebe ia fadina ne tuirtan maka ia iwahire te hetan corona incêndios label hak fodak label pânico saituir nia exemplo didático ser nebe ia e ikusli nia mapa indicações instalação quartel general nian e debo ser lá tuir e temos se ia apoio aos bombeiros EDTEL para bele apoio taka ahi direções nebe bita rola parte e seguir toia ninia sinais nebe makia nehanesa e irene habali he mapamento situações de quartel general nian para ite bot sira bela par ihane quartel general agora ita he posição irene auditorium quartel general nian irene corredor irene hawate kata alternative evacuação ida ita primeiro ita he ponto de encontro 1 e a direções Ministério da Defesa Nioin. Ponto de encontro 2 e a ministério oh ia falitil pretende oin ia parazen socialista general sira pir fale mai ita ia ponto encontro e de contuglio ponto encontro 3 ita sira na ia fatin né quando moço incêndios ruma ita ia fatin maka ia ponto encontro 3 tamba sabe maka escolhe ponto encontro 3 tamba ia né ita label hili fatin sira basic para basic estrada na mai tamba ia né ia depósito de mina gasolina ia né ia armazém militar então escolhe ali uma ia né para moço incêndio ruma ita sira fatin né e auditorium né ne fatin maka mai liu né ia futsal e fevretelian então ia futsal e fevretelian ita ber sai os corredor né or sai ba estrada bot ou ita bele sai mai alternativa ida hori bafal edda ida né meus ne bem maka ia quartel general prepara para ba plano emergency e hauni apreensão toda de hane obrigado ba minha atenção e sucesso ba ita hoto hauni dizendo maka lá dum furak mas hau fiar kata que me compreende obrigado.
Obrigada ba senhor Arferes. Na beha tona instrução para quando ba utilização fatinda né no interessa de lá bela acontece incêndio. Dia maybe ita tene medida no nilalau pengira se acontece né aning ito to in na introdução no ou insa tu usa ajuda ou insa tu lá bela pânico quando acontece done, tá bem? Dia kami convida senhor Chair TLNOG nian, senhor Zé Dias, nebe se hato palavra barak, konaba saída mak TLNOG, no essa existência TLNOG, o objetivo no minha expectação será para o futuro atau hati liutan kona batel nok nilalau kami convida senhor Zé Dias hodi atau mensagem badak baita.
Obrigado Barak mana MC. Haunia bom dia no bem-vindo dal tamba maluk sirahutu. Haunia respeto ba kapitão nomos haunia respeto ba instruktor na rua hosi aisok nomos hosi apnik. Tinani da liuba TLNOG establece simples me behonia princípio ida nabe forte tebes konaba futuro infrastruktur internet timor niang nabe ia hotu itania liman ia hotu itania skill sira namos itania commitment sira formalmente registro anesang organização não lucrativo nia existe atu hanesang ponte ida atu tang ita hotu liusi fahe conhecimento sira nomos encoraja ita hotu nebe iha salaung ida nebe assegura internet funciona iha itania escola sira itania hospital sira itania banco sira nomos iha itania governo lorong ohi no abang iha lorong rua baweng ita si foku ho iha topiku esensial ba itania soberania no estabilidade espaço digital nebe makita bolunaran network security iha sesang ida laos konferensia nebe ita mai hasong ita ronadet nebe workshop nebe obriga ita para ita kari itene kakutak kari itene skill sira treinamento formação durante lorong ruane nebe ita hetang si expert na in rua diretamente ita bela aplica ba desafios nebe ita hasuru lorong iha itania ambiente serviço niang iha itania fating serviço niang laos det ita compreende no hatene seda maka kona ba segurança né mas be ajuda ita atu implementa protocolo nebe bele protege itania rede nomos espaço digital itania nasaunnya how encourage tebes ita hotu nebe agora ia salaun tane atu husu perguntas coloca itania desafio sira ba itania expert nen rua nebe se acompanha ita durante lorong rua atu nene ita bele hetang conhecimento nebe diak hosi instrutor nen rua ba nomos atu aproveita de dia oportunidade de né kadi itania conhecimento sira tamba espaço segurança espaço digital na Sound Timor-nian ia hotu itania lima ikus liu lori ekipa TLNOG hau hato haunya garasi tebes ba Warren ho afan nebe fo na sene tempo mai fo treinamento ita ho idane hau habadak tempo hau entrega fali ba MC atunane ita bele continua ba ita ni sessão workshop sira obrigado barak e bom aproveito.
Dia obrigada ba Monze, nebe hatona palavras para quando bater logo ni existência e Timor-Leste. Não em claro vai ita hotu, não é ita preparado, hori tuir evento nebe mak ita sehalao lorong tolo ni laran. Dia mai be atu continua ba programa tuir mai, ami ho haraikan tebes, ami husu desculpa ba senhor Capitão Bere, nebe representa senhor nebe mak introduce se halo introdução kona ba Socorro Nian, senhor Alferes Isaac Mendes, maybe iane Capitão Bera mak apresenta kona ba Socorro Nian se acontece do niane. Dia kami hanoing itatama ba abertura lorong nian, none ami convida colega na rua escolhido, nebe mak ami hiliona atau bele mahola fating ia oin. Halo favor. Ami convidamos instrutor internacional Mr. Afan ho Warren, please take place in front. So we would like we are going to start our ceremony. Ami convidamos a TLNOG nia diretor hori hola Fatimos. Ami convida representante husi FFDTL nian sebele senhor Capitão Bere atau hola Fatim. Dia cerimônia abertura e ohin loronian ohin selo kituan ita banghira sira hahu baku babadok significa ita nia cerimônia abertura hahu dadau né hausura 1 2 3 when I say 1 2 3 just yeah tap there, so 1 2 3 stop. Okay, Lozano. Obrigada, Barak. No, ito na cerimônia hahu dadang. Hau convida Senhora Cira, bele hola fira fali fating. Take your seat, please. Hanoi oficialmente tinha cerimônia lo que da daona. Dia hanoi molo kahu formação mi hakar que informa ba maluco engenheiro Sira Iane Monabilio, bem-vindo, Mão Borges, bem-vindo, colega Barak mak Iane, Lilius nebe makuluk tuir TLNOG primeiro nian, Barak mosola parte Iane, agradeço tebes, no liameno husi haundar master ceremony, atu fotene ba colega engenheiro Sira, kata requerimento horihetan certificado ba workshop idane, ita se tuir workshop idane loron rua, incluímos a conferência nian, depois de idane mag ita foi hetan certificado, significa ita laber falta, nega? Então, ita expectativa, ba participação idane mag, ita participa ao máximo, no efetivo, ita manan ganha conhecimento kalian, ita aproveita oportunidade os especialistas têm bem a cara que faz senia experiência, senia matéria, senia conhecimento maeta. No ikusliu a minha equipa, a minha comissão, a minha to boa sorte, no bom aproveito. Obrigada. Dia kita tama ba sessão primeiro e tem workshop badahuluk niang hahuda daw.
Thank you for the introduction. I'll just connect to the screen now. Is someone controlling the audio visual to be able to cut over to the... Doesn't seem to be picking up the screen at this point. Can you work on that? So while we're waiting for that to happen, welcome to the first day of the Network Security Workshop. My name is Warren Finch, as you've already heard. I work for the Internet Society, and it was a last-minute change. The actual APNIC lead trainer was not able to attend today, and it worked out that I was here early for the NOG on Friday, so I'm able to assist with the training. Afan and I have been here before to do a workshop together in the past. That was 6 years ago. So once we are connected to the internet, there's been some issues there. I've noticed that there's quite a few Windows machines that are actually connected. So because we're using a public Wi-Fi and we've got limited bandwidth and there's a lot of us here, can I get you to set the Wi-Fi to a metered connection? The metered connection means that it's not going to do all the background updates and noise that the Microsoft software does. So hopefully that will give us some better bandwidth for that. Once the screen comes up, it's going to hopefully allow me to see the metered connection. This is the disadvantage of a Mac, trying to talk to a HDMI output. It doesn't seem to like it sometimes. If you've got a Windows, how many people have Windows 10 or Windows 11? Yep. So If you go to your network settings once you're connected to the internet, you'll be able to go to the advanced settings for that internet connection, and they're about a third of the page down is a toggle button to press for metered connection. It's gone to sleep. No, it's on. I can try restarting. Okay. Well, we'll continue as is. How many people have work in any sort of security role at the moment? One. Oh. Ask them lots of questions. Unfortunately, I speak only one language, English. So if you do have questions, feel free to ask the questions in your own language if you don't feel confident speaking in English. There are lots of people in the room that will help translate, and then hopefully we can get that. If I am talking too quickly, please let me know. We're here to help you learn, and as part of that learning, you need to understand that concepts. And so if I'm talking too quickly, let me know. So this is what I'm referring to about the metered connection. That lasted a whole few seconds. That's better. Okay. So if you just do a search on the internet for metered connections, you'll be able to get to that. The other thing is there is a little setting down in your status bar that you can go to your network settings and change it that way. With the workshop, there is an events page that you can get access to the course material, and I will start showing you this slide. So in regards to the trainers, Dave's not here. He is going to possibly help remotely. If you want to get access to the Academy page, you just need to go to this link here. So academy.apnic.net will get you to the main page. Underneath that will be the link to the event for Timor-Leste NOG, the TLNOG. What you'll find there will be most of the slides that we're going to be using, the presentations, as well as the activities that we're going to be doing later today and tomorrow. And then there will be a survey link that APNIC would like to get some feedback in regards to how we went. An idea is to take a photo of that link so you can always go to it at another time. But what you will see when you've got access to that is a page that looks like this. What we want to do is to click on the course materials link that is to the right-hand side. And if you just set that to full screen, that will mean that you can now access the material just directly without having to go through multiple clicks to get to that. So with the presentation, we've got a couple of theory sessions this morning, and then after lunch, we'll start looking at doing some practical hands-on applications. We're going to start with the fundamentals and then look at some of the unusual traffic that will be on your network and then using that for detection of activity that you would not be expecting. At the bottom of this page is a lot of other resources that you can get access to, and I'll talk about those later on. There is some intermittent problem with the Wi-Fi for TLNOG2, but hopefully that's getting resolved. If you have internet access using your phone, are you able to access the events page? Yep. slider's not working, so I'll get batteries. Okay, thank you. Good hint. I'm still new to the Mac. This is the APNIC website. If you open up this page here, you'll be able to get access to the events there, but there's all other resources that you can get access to as well. No, it's still not working. I think my battery needs to be replaced. Some other resources that you can get access to are some of the key features there from APNIC Academy, the online courses, the virtual labs, technical assistance and upcoming events. If you complete an online course, you can get access to EduRoam. I'm not sure if EduRoam is here, but a lot of hospitals and educational institutes will give you free access to their network. In Australia, it's quite popular. So if you ever visit Australia, you get free internet access using them. The APNIC policy development process, they're going to ask you to participate. You can learn more about that. If you become a fellow and go to any of the conferences, they'll want you to do that. The APNIC Apricot conference is going to be in Jakarta next year, so it could be just a hop, skip and jump from here. You're welcome to try and attend that. And there'll be a couple of master classes that you can attend there as well. If you want to continue this conversation after the event, APNIC has a whole heap of mailing lists or forums that you can connect to and get and ask questions for advice or questions for help or assistance, or just pose different discussion topics. A simple disclaimer: you should be able to go to this link here, which is, hopefully the internet's going to work for me. Go to menti.com, and if you put in that code 3851-6754, that will give you access to this. It's sort of like a pre-training check to see what you know, what industry you work in, so we can try and customize the training to your background. So if there's a common theme that you're all network engineers, we'll talk about case studies that's related to networking security. I'm getting old. So we've got 11 people connected. I'm sorry to the cameras, I like walking around. Yeah, it's very slow. I'm tethered to my phone just using the data, unfortunately. So I don't know why that's the case, but anyway. So we've got 26 people there. That will give us a good idea. So we're going to move to the first question. Are you ready for the workshop? Yes, definitely. Yes, but first coffee? I'm not really sure. No. Am I in the right room? This is just to see if you can press the right buttons first. A practice question. And I also want to see who likes a joke. Definitely, coffee's good. Or chai. I should have said, depending on where you are. So I've gotten 17 out of 34. The internet is slow. More and more people want coffee already. We might get going to the real question. So the first question is, how long have you been in the industry for? ICT, information communication technology industry, but this will help influence the way that we go. Looks like the winner is the 10 plus years. So it's looking like that we've got people that have just started their careers and people that are long-term career. So that's an interesting mix. So it's a good opportunity, because we're in person, to talk to the seniors of the group and find out their experience and their stories. Because there's a lot of experience that you have about your particular network that I can't give you. Let's move to the next one. Is this your first APNIC or ISOC training? So it looks like an even spread. Oh, it looks like more of you have done the APNIC training, so you've got expectations. Hopefully I'm able to get to that. That's your responsibility, Afan. I'm Internet Society. Let's go to the next question. So now I want to understand what your role is. So what are you? Are you a network engineer, a system admin, security engineer, solutions architect, or something different to that? I like to see that there's zero solution architects. It's like the word consultant. I do anything and everything. So network engineers. So the focus will be on network security from an engineering point of view. Next part. What part of the industry do you work in? From the networking side, are you an internet service provider, an internet exchange point, a data center, research and education network, so university, enterprise, telco, and other, so government, military, or something like that? At least we've got one research and education network. Woohoo! So this is where I want you to type in a word or something that shows what you know about the network security. So far, what do you know about network security? So type in a word. It could be pen testing, or I know nothing, or lots. BCP, best common practice, manners, mutually agreed normal routing security. Good beginner. So you'll notice that the larger the word, the more people have said that word or typed in that word. So ethical hacking, firewall, routing, cyber attacks, defenses, protection, filtering, combination of tools. That's a good answer. There is no right or wrong way of doing the network security, but using the right combination improves that. Defense is really important. Monitor the network security. Analyze log security. All good examples. Getting the telemetry to learn. Surprised no one's used the buzzword AI or cyber, zero trust and things like that. Everyone heard of Chat GPT? Yeah, there's Hack GPT. Oh. We're back. Let's move to the next one. So, can I get an idea of what your experience is in these areas? So, how would you rate your experience? Do you have firewall experience, packet analysis, RPKI, resource public key infrastructure, and BGP security, since most of you are network engineers? Or do you have some pen testing or vulnerability scanning? Maybe I should have said ethical hacking instead of pen testing. So as you can see, you can drop these into the different locations. So you've got the very beginner on the left-hand side, down the bottom, right through to really good theoretical knowledge and practical operations in the top right-hand corner. So the majority of you are in the lower left corner, so that means that we will start with the fundamentals and go through with those fundamentals, hopefully giving you some good practical application as well. Based on that, a lot of the practical exercises is going to use the Linux command line. So how familiar are you with the Linux command line? The person who put very much, look out, I might get you to do all the demos. You can help. Completed the virtual lab, that's great. That's a good starting point, doing the virtual lab on the Academy. That's a really good starting point. There's also some other resources that I can share. I'll put up on the page later on. So there's the 30-day Learn Linux challenge that you can do, and I think there's also a 90-day one as well. The main thing is just getting exposed to it and being able to use it from time to time. Similar to what we did in regards to your knowledge about network security, what are you looking forward to learn? If you've been able to see the agenda, what are you really focused on learning? Because if we run out of time, I want to try and cover what people are asking or expecting to learn, if possible. So based on the agenda, we've got packet analysis, we've got intrusion detection system using Suricata, we've got logs, a lot of people put in cybersecurity. That's such a broad topic. It's difficult to cover everything. Pen testing, so yes, we cover a little bit of that tomorrow, and we do a vulnerability assessment as well. Security protocols. We're not focusing too much on the protocols. Secure coding practice, definitely not focusing on coding practice. BGP, Border Gateway Protocol, not so much on that. How to solve ransomware. If you're able to do that, then you'd make a fortune. Ethical test, cyber defense, device security, network pen test, red team, encryption. We may not be able to cover all of that, but we'll look at vulnerability assessment, we'll look at a simple pen test, we'll look at packet analysis, and looking at what's traffic is on your network. Being a 2-day workshop, it's hard to cover everything. Basic things, how to start. Definitely we'll try and give you some advice about that. IoT, we don't really cover IoT, Internet of Things. But the bigger words there, a lot of people would like cybersecurity, network security, pen testing, network and cybersecurity. I'm going to leave this Menti running throughout the day, and this page here is a free text form where you can basically ask a question. And so I'll come back to this from time to time. You can type in English, type in your local language that you feel comfortable with, and we'll get it translated somehow. But you're welcome to ask questions. You can also ask questions in the room. You're physically here if you feel comfortable doing that, but if you're not comfortable doing that and you think of a question, you can always go back to this. So leave it open. Unfortunately, some of you have it on your phone, so it might be difficult, but if you've got it on your laptop, you can always go in and type a question there as we go throughout the day. So I'm just going to make sure that that's running in the background. Change glasses. I need to get batteries for my clicker. It seems to be flat. I can do it here, nice and close, but then I've got to keep walking back. So what we're going to cover is a quick introduction to the fundamentals. Now, this is quite a large slide deck. You've got access to this slide deck, but the idea is that there is no right or wrong way of securing your devices. The main thing is the generics of that. So, for example, with your laptop, how do you keep that secure? First up, from a physical point of view, do you just leave it anywhere for people to get access to? No. You have some sort of physical control over your laptop, and you make sure that you know where it is most of the time. To get access to the actual software, you need a password in most cases, or some sort of mechanism to prove who you are. Then you need to make sure that who is logging into it, a lot of enterprises will have some sort of way of monitoring when you logged on, what IP address you had, and things like that. So there's that monitoring that happens for that. And this is the same sort of thing when we're looking at our devices. thinking about the physical access to that. Some data centers will have multiple layers of security. So you lock it up in a server room. You have some sort of monitoring of who gets access to it, so surveillance. Closed circuit TV, being able to monitor who walks into that particular facility, who walks into the server room. If they are vulnerable or portable devices, you don't want them just anywhere that someone can walk in and take them away. You want to protect the backups. So if something goes wrong with the software, you have a means of being able to go back to that. Just going to start a PowerPoint so that way. My machine keeps going to sleep. Yeah, it's taken over. That's a pain. Not enough screens. I'll just have to keep moving it. So a technique, if you don't want your Windows machine or Microsoft or your, if you don't want your Windows machine or your Apple machine going to sleep, you set up a PowerPoint slide, but then the slide takes over the projector, unfortunately. So we'll continue from there. So with your laptop, if you don't want to get corruption or something happen to your software, you use backups. So someone had their, how do we fix ransomware? Well, the quickest fix is to format and reinstall and restore from backup. There is no guarantee that you have gotten rid of the ransomware if you just try and patch and remove it manually. There's also social engineering. Everyone know what social engineering is? So social engineering is where someone tries to fool you to do something based on what they know about you. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. A good example is, how many got an invitation to a social event on Thursday night? Did you actually check or validate that that's going to happen? That could be a social engineering thing. How many of you have won Lotto? Congratulations, you've won a prize for being the 1,000th person to come to this website. That would be another one as an example. And then being able to control the network devices console access. So, for example, most of you have said that you were network engineers. How many of you look after routers? Switches, yeah? A few of you do. How many of those are public IP addresses? That means they can be accessed over the public internet. And then, do you present a login page? So potentially, they could be vulnerable. So are you going to move them off and have some other way of getting out of box experience? So getting into the devices. So configuring timeouts. Don't stay logged into the devices all the time. So the fundamentals are looking at the device themselves. So on routers, you want to be able to have some sort of mechanism on who can access that router. I've worked for a managed service provider, and so we used to look after hundreds of clients' equipment. And then when someone from the team resigned or went to another organisation, we manually had to go around and reset passwords on those. That's a very painful thing. So you can then use some sort of centralized management for software authentication. Or how many of you actually look after routers and network devices today and you have one account for everybody and you've got a team of 10 people? So how do you then figure out who made that change that brought down the network? That is a problem. When I worked for a managed service provider, we had our tier 1 help desk people accessing some of the router equipment, making changes using a generic account when I first joined, which meant that you couldn't identify when a mistake was made and who made that mistake. Why do we want to identify that? There's a few reasons. One would be, if you identify what the mistake is and who did it, you can upskill those people so that the mistake doesn't occur again, or you get a better understanding of that. But then, how do you know that it wasn't malicious? It could have been someone else that was not in your team that got access and made that modification. So being able to have that transparency or the telemetry of notifying people of changes. And so this is where it's saying the common sense, never leave your password in clear text, authenticate the individual users. And this is coming back to that concept, bingo word, of zero trust. When you allow access to the devices, are you doing it via a secure channel? So someone asked about protocols. How many of you still use Telnet to log into your network devices? I'm glad to see no hands come up. But there are a lot of Internet of Things, IoT devices, that still only use FTP and Telnet, which are clear text protocols. So when you send a password to those devices, they're in clear text. Anyone on that same network segment is able to see that. And actually not in this workshop, but I have a script that I use that looks at network traffic and it pulls out any protocols that are using clear text and looks for passwords that way. SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. That is a protocol that allows you to talk to networking devices and say, hey, what's your setup? What's your config? Tell me about that. And there are tools out there called SMP Walk that allow me to try and get access to devices. Once I've got access to the device, in most cases, if I just read it, I just get some details about the device. But as an ethical hacker or pen tester, I can then use that to research vulnerabilities in those devices. If I'm fortunate enough and I can guess your community string and are able to connect to the device using read-write mode, it now means I can change the configuration. So that means that you need to protect that. Who can access it? And a lot of out-of-the-box vendor equipment will have services enabled that you don't need. Most of you, or a lot of you, are on Windows 10. How many of you have Candy Crush still installed? I'm sure most of you will have that because by default, Windows 10 has all what's referred to as bloatware. There's all this extra software that they assume that you will need eventually. So Candy Crush is one of those. And I think there was a vulnerability in Candy Crush that gave people remote access to your computer. So just be aware of that. And then when you are investigating an incident, timestamps and creating a timeline is important. So having the correct timestamps for your logging is important. And obviously, depending on the country that you are in, you want the legal banners that say you're not allowed to access this device. So that way, if you do find someone doing the wrong thing, you can action it in the court of law or get the police involved if needed. From our routing and networking devices, you have the management plane and you have the forwarding plane. The management plane you want to protect because that's going to basically influence how this device is going to be configured. So you want to lock it down to the best you can. And in a lot of cases, you use something like a jump box or a bastion to be able to restrict who can access it and where from. Rather than having it exposed on the public internet where anyone can access it, you want to have it come from a trusted source. And so you're going to define your management stations or your jump box and then what sort of traffic you are going to allow to those devices. If we go back to the Academy page, got to figure out how I can. How do you change Windows in a Mac? Windows, I don't want to. I didn't want to exit the presentation. That's annoying. I'll come back. What I'm doing is I just want you to have a look at the Academy page. At the Academy page on the first resources section, you've got this protecting the router control plane, RFC 6192. If I click on that, this RFC goes into a lot of detail about why you want to protect the control plane. So this is for the network engineers, and it was written back in 2011 by Juniper Network and people from Cisco. And if you scroll down to the bottom, it actually gives you some sample configurations for those routers. So if we go to page 13, we can see here how we can start creating some access control list definitions to lock down who can access those different protocols at the control plane or the management plane. And then if we scroll a bit further down, you'll get the Juniper configuration. The next few sections are actually giving you some working examples for Cisco configuration to lock it down in more detail. So we'll just go through each one quickly. First up, being able to secure your access to the devices using some sort of password or timeout. And so we basically set it to enable secret, user Bob secret. Anyone see an issue with this? This particular sample, what was one of the first things I said in the first slide? Don't save your passwords in clear text. What's happened here? The password's in clear text. So is this the best practice? No. It was the recommended practice quite a few years ago, probably 2 decades ago, but it's now, you should enable it to be more, to never leave passwords in clear text. So a better option is to use the service password encryption command. And that will then mean that you can then create the password and hide it using different algorithms, one-way hash value of some sort. Okay? So just be aware of that. Just going to go out and do you. The other way is to use some sort of centralized authentication system. And so by doing a centralized authentication, you're able to create the username and password once, but use it on multiple devices. And so that way, if you need to change a password, you just go to that central device and you change it there. One thing to be aware of though is that if you're using some sort of centralized authentication, have some sort of local account that you can still get access to that device if the device can't communicate to the central authentication. Otherwise, you might lock yourself out, unlike some other vendors that have done that. And again, best practice, authenticate individual users if possible. If you can't do that, at least create a group of users and break it down by department or something like that. The big advantage is that if one of your team members then leave, you can just remove their account. And then create an access list to say, these are the IP addresses that we trust and are able to access this device. So that advantage is that it will stop the different devices being exposed readily from there. How many of you already do this sort of things? If this is too basic, let me know and I can move through it quicker. You're already doing it? Well done. How many of you used Shodan HQ or know of Shodan? So if you open up a browser and you go to Shodan HQ or Shodan.io, anyone heard of Google? The search engine called Google. Yeah? Most people have used a search engine called Google. It indexes web pages. Shodan is like Google, but it indexes network devices. So it goes around trying to find what is available on the internet. And so doing a search for Timor-Leste, I can see here that we have these ports exposed to the internet. And that's just using a keyword Timor-Leste. If I do a search for your country level domain name, TL, I now get back 7,274 devices that are exposed on the public internet at this point in time when this snapshot was taken. One of them is going via Cloudflare, which is good. And we've got these 403 forbidden, but it's given me a listing of IP addresses that have potential websites. So I can now start creating a footprint of the devices that are there. Not only that, I've got other devices and their protocols. So port 161, 123, 443, 80. Anyone tell me what port 80 is? Web server, yes. Is it using secure communication? No, it's using clear text. So if there's any sort of authentication form on that port 80, it will be in clear text. It also gives me an idea of the different providers who are exposing that, and so it might be something that they could do internally from that point of view. What was the question?
The port for the public IP for the .tl are open and vulnerable. I know.
It may not be vulnerable, but it's responding to the communication. So what it does, it allows me to get an idea of the footprint that's happening there. So not all of them will be vulnerable. However, Shodan, if you have a valid account, you can do a report on vulnerabilities as well. And so in the past, when this was first created, way back, probably 2 decades ago, in the early 2000s, it was, when it was first created, you didn't need any special activity. It was freely available. However, there's some people out there that were malicious. So now you need credits. And based on what report you're creating is how many credits you need to do that. Anyone heard of the Black Friday specials? It's about to happen. I would suggest looking for a Black Friday special for Shodan. Sometimes it's $5 to give you lifetime access to some credits. If you're a university student and you have a .edu email address, you can apply to the environment to get access to Shodan, and they will give you credits as well for free. If you have access to, I'll just open up another window. If you've got a member of APNIC, you can go to dash.apnic.net. I'm not a member, or I don't have access to this, but if you contact them, they have this network health dashboard. And as part of their HoneyNet project, they listen for bad traffic. And if it's originating from somewhere behind your network prefixes, you can set up alerts and they will let you know about that. So I highly recommend you look into that. It's a freely available resource. The other thing is Team Kimru and Shadow Server. They also have free resources. Anyone heard of Shadow Server? So Shadow Server is a free resource that gets donations from APNIC and other organisations, Internet Society. And what this does, it allows you to create a request to them, and they will monitor your network prefixes for open ports and send you a daily report saying this is what we see with our devices for your network prefixes. Highly recommend that, and it's a free resource. It's a nice little report, and so this is a good way to find shadow IT or shadow networks that you didn't know about in your prefix. Oh, this shouldn't be exposed. And the Internet Society also sponsors another one, let's see if I can get this to work, called NetBeacon. And NetBeacon is a free tool that helps with reporting some sort of DNS abuse. If someone has a malicious website or is creating a fake website of your domain or subdomains, you could potentially report that. And based on that, it gets sent to the different DNS operators as well as sometimes law enforcement, and they are able to then do what's called takedown requests to remove that malicious website from the internet. I'll try and create a list of these and add those to the resources. Sorry, I just keep changing. I've got lots of resources to share. This works a lot better, the battery's stronger. So when we are looking at getting access to our network devices, we saw how easy it was to look at publicly accessible networking devices, a couple of websites, being able to get an ID or fingerprint reconnaissance of your network. So that's why you need to start locking down and only use secure protocols. So SSH is a good protocol that allows you to then give you remote access to devices rather than using Telnet, which is insecure to do that. Protecting your SNMP, so that way you only allow it from certain IP addresses or communication to and from those IP addresses. And then making sure that you set up logging and you set it to a centralized logging server and you set up your timestamps accordingly. Or you are aware of those timestamps, because you need to use this when you're doing your incident response and doing investigations or threat hunting to discover the timeline of what happened, where and when. And you can change the configurations and your logging and where you want to log it to that way. And obviously some sort of banner to let people know that you shouldn't be logging in to this unless you've been authorised. You'll need to check with your legal team, or you could ask your friend in neighbourhood large language model, Gen AI, and customise it, and then obviously make sure your legal department review it and agree with that banner. Setting up centralized logging, I've already alluded to that, but essentially you tell it where you want to send it to, the IP address, what sort of trap you want to set it up to go to, and what sort of information. Do you just want debug, or do you want just the basics alert, or everything? That's the higher the number, the more detail you're going to get for your logging. From the data plane point of view, so this is looking at your filters and your packet forwarding and so on. Sometimes it's very difficult to get the right filter in place. Trying to build that out and get the regular expression or whatever saying, yes, I want that going there. It takes practice. So having some sort of lab environment helps with doing that. But if you don't have that opportunity, you could do what Cloudflare did last night. I assume they had an outage last night and they applied something to their production network that took a big outage, which impacted more than just them, other networks as well. Facebook did a similar thing with automation. So as more and more networks are doing automation, it's getting more and more difficult to test it without going live. When you are looking at creating filters at the packet, but doing the packet filtering, you need to think about the operation of order. How does the filter load for that router? Depending on the vendor equipment, it's going to be different, the way they handle that. Cisco has a default, what is it? When you create an access control list, what is the very last option of your filter list? Default all, isn't it? And so if you do your filter and you're only allowing one sort of protocol, and your intention was to allow that protocol but also keep the other ones that you've allowed, you might actually lock yourself out. And in Australia, that causes lots of problems for young engineers, because they usually have data centers on the other side of the country, which is a good 8-hour flight to get there to fix. So a bit of a problem there. When you look at the packet flow, how is that going to interrupt that packet flow? Is there going to be issues in regards to the hardware. How many filters can you apply on that hardware? The memory usage that it uses, it may increase your CPU utilization as well, which then means everything goes a lot slower. And then you start having customers ringing up and saying, this is appalling, your network is terrible, I can't do anything, and so on. So you need to think about that. Some organizations go off and buy a separate standalone firewall, but then you need the skill sets to be able to then run that firewall. So Cisco have their ASA and the Meraki firewalls. Juniper have their firewalls as well. And so you start doing the filtering at those because they have the actual hardware is built for that sort of filtering compared to a normal router. So we've reached our coffee break time. I haven't been paying attention. So got to get our priorities right. Yes, so 10:36. Let's have a break and we can come back and we'll continue. Any questions, I should say? After the coffee break, I'll have a look at, get priorities right. Coffee first. We did have lots of people say I need my coffee.
Dia kahoni tama bas sound to rimai ita say break ito anlay. No iane ame karakatoba kolega sira. Iha liur iha exhibition table. Husi sa comtelnian no haone se karik maluk sira e dúvida e perguntas norma com base ni produto telco ka espinian ibele husu e liur no sira preparado ato for informação baita. Ano ne itania break maluk sira fatin ba break nian iha salão soring aunin maluk sira nebe mak hanes comissão sebele karek hatudo dalam ba fatin ba colega sira nebe mak foi mai no ne sira bele hatene no bele hola break da daona. Obrigada. Itania tempo 15 minutos. Obrigada.
My battery's flat, I realise. I left it on. You need a new battery? Yeah. So that's okay. This one's working great. Your battery. I can get some tonight.
Hey. Okay. How are you? Yeah, we have a coffee.
Okay. I'll just get some slides.
I guess we give it to the...
Charge down there if you want.
What tomorrow, right? Okay, then.
There is a interesting part. You see next header. This one is a little bit different from IPv4. In IPv4, we have the options that can extend the header, so that's why it's not fixed. But in IPv6, it's fixed. But if I want to enhance the capability of the protocol in future, how can I do that? The header needs to be changed, but the header is fixed. How can I change it? That's why there is something called next header. That means if you need more information added to the header, you don't touch the main header. You put a value there and mention that this is not done. There is a next header that you need to count. But the main header not changed. It's the same. So that's why it's a next header. Like here, this is an IPv6 packet. The next header value means it's a TCP packet. If you is 6, it's a TCP in the upper layer. If it is 17, it's an UDP, right? And so here, the next header is 6. That means there is no next header immediately header, which is the TCP header. But if it is not 6 or 17, something else, that means it will not immediately start the layer, next layer or data. Instead, there will be more header information here. That means now header can be big. The main header is fixed. You can optionally add new header. That's why it's called next header. And this way you can actually add more functionality to the protocol without changing the protocol header itself. Keep the header like that, but add new functionality with the next header value. It's like a pointer that points to a new header, but don't change the header. Okay, now comes, so like I said, either 6 or 17. Until 6 or 17, everything will be counted as next header. So here is an example. Let's say I have a IPv6 header, I have the next header TCP, but I need to add more header to do some functionality, so I can do the extension here. Instead of directly from IPv6 header to TCP header, I can have now something added to this value. But now this is not part of the main header. This is part of the payload. I'm taking space from the payload, not extending my header. That is the big difference from IPv6, IPv4. So yeah, I can say my next header is hop by hop. The next header is destination option. Next header is routing header. So I'm like giving new functionality there, but my main header is same. Here, this is a chain of multiple next header. Because this is an, I'm just, up to this point, I'm just saying that my main header is 40 byte. But as you can see, the next header value here, instead of 6 or 17, it's 0. Now my router will understand, okay, the header is not done yet. It would be done if there is a 6 or 17 there. Because it's not done, it's going to see what is 0 means. 0 means hop by hop. So this is the after the main header is done, there should be payload. But not payload, because router understood that more header is waiting, not. It's looking for two values, 6 or 17. 0 means not yet done. So it comes here, it finds it's a hop by hop header because 0 means hop by hop. And then this header has a next header of 43. It's not 6, not 17. That means header is not done yet. So 43 means routing. So that's a routing header. Routing header has a next header of 44. So 44 means fragment header. So this is the fragment header. Fragment header has a next value of 60. 60 means destination options. So this is the destination options header. It has a next header of 6. Now router understand, okay, that's done. So 6 means it's a TCP packet. So my header is all done in IP layer. Now I have to go layer 4. TCP is layer 4. So the next header starts. So without extending the main header, I'm taking it from the payload to increase my header values and give new functionality to the packet. Okay, that is the improvement. Anyway, there is a similar example in the CloudShark. You can see that fragment handling, like I said, path MTU discovery. Here's a visual diagram which covers the theory. Now take a look at this. I'm a host. My IPv6 address is this. This is the second host. I want to send some packet to this destination. Now this IPv6 packet, my IPv6 header and the payload or TCP segment, I want to send it, but my packet size, this packet size is bigger than my path MTU, my cable. My cable is connected here. This one is 1500 byte, but my packet is more than that. Remember I told you that that moment you have to fragment it. You have to make multiple. So what I should do, I should divide the packet. So I'm going to divide it into 3 packets because that means I need based on the maximum unit, maximum transmission unit. So every single segment, I need an IPv6 header. When you segment your main packet, you have to level. If you send a package, if you want to send the package, you go to the courier service provider and they will say, we don't carry that big. You have to use our 3 boxes. So they gave you 3 boxes. Do you put source and destination in one box or every single box needs to be labeled with this? You have to have those labeled in every box because box is going to go there. So header has to be in every packet. Then you also have to have a fragment header. You did a fragmentation. The side need to know which one is first, which one is second, which one is third. You need to have some level. That's called fragment. So this is the need for an additional header. You see why I need more header? Because I want to add some more functionality. On the other side, somebody needs to understand that the first packet is this one, second packet is this one, third packet is this one. So this, and then the next is the payload. The payload comes from this side, okay? Now it goes to the other side, like this. And can you see the TCP header is not here? Because that was the payload. Don't need to repeat that. On the other side, when they get the whole information, they will remove these two. So these 3 packets come this side. When host 2 receive these 3 packets, it will remove the first and second header, first and second header, first and second header. Eventually the TCP header and the other things will become one big packet, like this, right? It was originally the same packet. That's why I don't need the TCP header 3 times. I need the IP header 3 times, because single packet will go there individually. How do you find out max transmission unit of the path? Like I said, in IPv4, you don't know about the whole path MTU. But in IPv6, you can do that. So here is an example. My laptop is connected here, and this is an Ethernet cable, and I it's a 1500 byte of MTU. But here, this network admin, for their own reason, for some VPN config or for MPLS config or whatever reason, they reduce the MTU to 1300, right? Now in IPv4, you start 1500, it comes here, and then from there it cannot go. So what it will do, it will break it into 2, and first send one, the second send the second one, then this router has to adjust, means it's a reassemble them, right? But here in IPv6, it first try 1500. So first packet goes out, its MTU is 1500. Why? Because it can only know its own interface. The 1500 packet comes here. You can see that the packet size, this is a fragment header for IPv6 because it has other packets. But at the moment, the 1500 packet bytes and with additional header of 10 bytes, it's going out. Router 1 receives it. Router 1 checks the best path. The best path is towards router 2, and this link is 1500. So it doesn't need to do anything because it's 1500 and the packet is also 1500, is going out. Router 2 receives it, but the destination is towards router 3, but it's not 1500, it's 1300. So what it's gonna do? It is going to drop the packet. Because in IPv6, the fragmentation in the middle will not work. The hop by hop fragmentation is by default disabled. So it will drop the packet, it will send an ICMP reply to the source saying that, hey, you send me 1500, but I cannot process it because towards the destination there is a block. You need to send me maximum 1300, then only I can pass, otherwise I cannot do that. Okay? So this information comes back to host 1. The packet size too big. This message will come. And that is an ICMP v6 packet, remember. The reply comes as an ICMP v6 packet. And once this comes here, the host packet size, and now it does a recalculation and fragment it with 1300. So now 1300, the packet size is now 1300. It will cross router 1, it will cross router 2, it will cross router 3 and router 4. This way the whole path is identified, and the optimum and maximum MTU is as 1300. That means nobody in the middle needs to do anything else. The path is discovered by this. Now you can say, like, if I'm sending a packet, suddenly the admin, but my session is still going on. It can happen, right? Some network admin will change the network config anytime. But I don't know, my session is going on with 1500, what will happen? The moment it identified, it will send me the packet too big, and I have to retransmit again, right? So this way, it's not a problem. And ICMP is very lightweight. So even if you get this problem, it's not going to take like 1 second. It's going to be very fast because ICMP is very fast. So this was a very quick, and the next presentation, before going to the next presentation, we'll do a lab. Are you okay with the presentation? Any question? I know a lot of question is coming in your mind with IPv6. But yeah, in general, if you have any question about what we covered, let me check the Menti pages. If you have a question, if you want to ask it now, you can do it. But let me also check the Menti. Oh, there is no question. Okay, so we'll do a quick lab setup, okay, for you. Let me just set the lab very quickly, and then I'll give you access. How many people we are here? If we want to give routers to everybody, let me see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Are you going to practice as well? 3 of you? Okay, so 22. Yeah. First, I will just look at the numbers, then I'll create the lab like that. So 22, 23, 6. I need to run 14 into 3. 42. We have about 46, 7. Okay, let's I'll run the lab, and then we'll get about 42. Let's see. Very quickly, I'm gonna run 2 labs and see. So if two of you want one router, that's okay. That's possible. I mean, I mean, you two, it is configured. So anybody wants like a group? Two of you wants one router? Two, okay. I can give as many because these are virtual routers. So we have more than 60, we have about 56 routers. Yeah, and if somebody bring the laptop, you can group together with another person, okay? So they are gonna do one router together. Else, yeah, it's a Cisco router to configure. It's a Cisco router. So I will start assigning the routers. Are you okay? Individually, right? So router 1, so we'll have 3 to 4 infrastructure. 7, 8, 9. Nobody here? Should I assign or not? Again, okay. Okay, no problem. No problem. I'm gonna assign, and then who is gonna configure for her? You will configure. So what was your router number? I forgot. So that will happen. Like I will forget. You have to remember. 9. So you are 8. 9, 10. 10. So you now have to remember 2. 8, 10. 11. 9, 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. That's done. Now if I say you 15, actually you were router 1 for the second group. But I'll go 15 because I have to finish until the second group. So, okay? 15 means 1. 16 means 2. And you will see when I show you in the screen, you will understand that 15 means 1. I'll tell you why. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You are 22, 23, 24. Okay, 24. 24. Now, let me see. I think some of them can come this side. No need. So 25, right? 24. 4. 24, you need to sometimes talk to 7, 8. You have to end up and come here to talk. That's what I'm saying. If some of you can decide, I have to finish 28. I can assign you here, but the problem is then tomorrow when you are working as a group, is working to them. Why it's not working? You have to troubleshoot. Then they have to that side, they have to one side. It's going to be difficult. So how about you? 4 of you, 4 come this side. 4 of you come this side. Yeah, I got 4. Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm sorry that located you. Yeah, you have to come. Yes. So, yes, sit here. Yeah, you can take any seat. I mean, anywhere is fine. Anywhere is fine. Yes, that seat is also fine. Yeah. Yes. So, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Please remember your numbers, okay? 28 done. Now I'll assign from this and let's see how we go. 1, 2. But this is like third group. You are the third group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anybody here? 11, 12, 13. You are together, right? 13. Done? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19, together 19. 19, 19 and then, okay, great, no problem, 19. So, remember from 15, so I went all the way to 20, but from 15 it's actually R1, R2, R3 again for a different group. But for the time being, remember R15, R16 like that, okay? Don't miss your numbers, remember. Let's go to our event page and open the basic configuration lab. Okay. So this is the 14 router group. Okay. The idea, I'll explain the lab a little bit because tomorrow this idea needs to be done, needs to be working. So see, there is the 14 routers and R1, R2, R3. You are in gray color and AS10 or system number 10. That means you are one company. You have 3 routers in one group. So when you have to work together, you need to sometimes help each other. Okay, in one group. R4, 5, 6, 7. 4 of you a different company. Your AS number is 20. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, another different company, and 11, 12, 13, 14, you are a different company. Now 15, you are one. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and things like that. So when I show you the example config, R15, you will follow R1's config. Even though your router number is 15, but please follow R1's config. Similarly, you remember if your router number is 27, remember that you are R13. Okay, this way. I mean, try to remember. If still you are confused, let me know, okay? And if you even make mistakes, it's okay because it's a lab environment. If you make mistakes, I can do a back-end fixing. And real life as well, we break internet, right? Sometimes or most of the time. Yeah. And when the customer, we say, we don't know. It's your probably restart your computer. Okay. So yeah, we'll make mistakes, that's fine. Now, you have to go to a jump host. So what is a jump host? Before accessing the device, you have to use a safe server. That's a jump host. So we are in this room. We are here in this ANC building, and the lab is running.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get started. So before the break, we got to this point, or just before this point here, and we also said that, are there any questions? And everyone said, after the break. So let's come back to question time. I realised I stopped my Menti. I don't know if I'll be able to recover the questions, but there were some questions that are there. So I'm just going to drag that up onto the screen. Let's see if I can present this and it continues. Hopefully it does. Perfect. So what we've got here is some of the questions. Ask me anything. How can we implement network security at big office using MikroTik or other security? So there's a couple of questions in regards to that. So if you're a big office, you need to start looking at the individual devices, how you're going to lock it down. You also need to look at the people in the office and do security training for them. And in regards to the MikroTik devices, are you using Winbox or the CLI? So first up, the MikroTik devices, Winbox, make sure you lock that down. Don't allow anyone to access it from the internet. You can actually use the Showdown HQ and do a search for MikroTik and you'll see how many open devices there are. In regards to the orbit.apnic.net website, you could actually ask that question there to get public advice about that. We're not looking at specific vendor equipment, and I will admit I am not a user of MikroTik as much. I actually, in my career, I was a Cisco reseller, so obviously I'm going to be pushing Cisco stuff, not the MikroTik. Al Bai, who was your trainer last year, he actually does a lot of MikroTik, so you can always, I can reach out to them. In regards to how to become an IT network security expert, once you know, let me know, because I've been doing this on and off for quite a few years. You continue learning. That's probably the best thing. Find resources and learn those resources. Understand the basics, and if you understand the process of, say, troubleshooting an issue, apply that to security. It's just the different roles. It's the same thing. Do you offer some courses about network security in your foundation that is offline? It can be free or paid courses, or just like in Udemy or LinkedIn. At the bottom of the APNIC Academy page, the event page there, I've put some resources there. One of the ones that I like is the Try Hack Me page. What that does is has a free learning path that allows you to learn from a practical point of view how to do, say, log analysis or packet analysis or Wireshark. And it basically gives you a quick idea of some theory. Then it asks you to complete certain tasks. It might be, what was the time and date that this person logged in? And you now have a whole heap of event logs or system logs that you need to go through and find it. So it poses a question that way. How to be set up network security on local area network. So network security is very difficult. Comes back to what your preferred operating system is, what your equipment you're using, how you're setting up your network. Is it wireless? Is it wired? What is your risk factor? And we'll talk about that more today for that. What are the best practices to secure a network infrastructure against common cyber threats? That's what we're going through now. So we're getting there. And then someone's put BGP. How about we solve the configuration in IPv6? Clarity is needed for that, but IPv6, a lot of people say with IPv4, we have network address translation. So you have an internal IP address that is not seen on the public internet. So anyone use 192.168.0.1 or something like that. That is a private IP address that isn't seen on the public internet. So a lot of people have this idea that because I'm using IPv4, I'm more secure in my internal network because I'm using a private IP address. That is not correct. There are lots of attacks where I can get access to your internal network even though you're using that private IP address. And so a lot of networks say, oh, we're not deploying IPv6 because by default it is a public IP address. So doing security by obscurity, which is what we refer to when we're saying the network address translation for IPv4, is not a good thing from that point of view. So if you are able to apply some of this basic filtering that we're starting to talk about now, that should block a lot of that. So if you have a simple firewall, and there are lots of free firewalls for your, say, home network, software-based, pfSense is an open source software. And the simple rule is block everything and then slowly allow what you want outbound. And then if you need anything to come into your network, you then allow that. I tend to say, think about your network security like your house security. How many of you live in a house or apartment? I do. And basic, if we think about 300, 400 years ago, people didn't have doors, didn't have windows. They had everything was open. And then as society changed, they added windows, they added doors, and then they added locks to those doors. And in some cases, we now have a fence around the house. And then we have a dog or an animal to help protect the house. So that is the same with network security. It evolves. When I started in IT, I did my first programming course in 1984. The concept of security didn't exist. Whereas in 1990s, less and less people just wanted to worry about security. All they wanted was to connect to the internet, get their applications on the internet, and they didn't care about security. I know of a network, large credit card company, when they found out about Wi-Fi, everybody wanted Wi-Fi, so the accountant went out and purchased a simple Wi-Fi device, plugged it into the corporate network, and no password or any protection on it, and it was in Sydney's Martin Square, Martin Place, and the journalists walked down Martin Place with a computer looking for open networks, and were able to connect to the corporate network of MasterCard. That was around the turn of the century when Wi-Fi first became available. Now everyone locks down their Wi-Fi. Think about your access to Wi-Fi today. You use a SSID and you use a password to get access to it. And then you've got different types of level of security there. So that's answered a few of those questions, but keep asking about that. Yes, that is very true. It does go to Linux command. Do you think Windows command can protect your network? Yes, Windows can definitely protect your network. So if you are interested in that, PowerShell. PowerShell is, if you're very much Windows based, learn PowerShell because you can now use PowerShell on Linux systems. And you can, it's a very powerful programming language. If you're more concerned about networking, the netsh command is very powerful for locking down some of your Windows systems as well. So there is a lot of Microsoft security to learn, depending on your focus. I'm just going to exit out of that presentation mode, so hopefully it's still there. And we've now got a slide, so I'll change back to that. We are quite a bit of time behind, but we'll see if I can catch up on that. So what I've done with PowerPoint, I've added some subtitles. If that's too distracting, let me know. Is English better or Portuguese? English? Okay, we'll leave it as English. But if it's too distracting, please let me know, and I can change that there. So what we did, we got to filtering recommendations. Log your filter ports messages appropriately. So when I apply a filter, anyone heard of a tool called Nmap? Nmap is short for Network Mapping Tool, and it's a free open source software that allows you to basically point it at an IP address, and it will start asking questions of that. Say, hey, do you have this port number open? Do you have this port number open? Now, based on the response from that device, certain vendors will do different responses. What are we looking for? So based on the request and the response, Nmap has been able to create a list to say, oh, this is this type of device. So what you can do is to change that. You can modify how that responds. And it gets quite technical, but we won't talk about it in detail at the moment. But you're going to basically want to block packets from the outside that are common for certain attacks. So SSH brute force. Someone's trying to guess the password or guess the access to your network device. So if you're able to do things like, there's a tool called fail to ban. On a Linux system, you install that, and what it allows you to do is say that if this person from this IP address tries to log in 3 times in 5 minutes with the wrong password, we're going to ban that address IP for 5 minutes or whatever timing. And you can build that out there. If you are getting packets from a source that doesn't exist or shouldn't be coming from a trusted internal network on that interface, a good example is I mentioned about the IPv4 192.168.0.1 address is usually on your internal network. But if I'm now receiving a packet with that as being the source address on my external network, should I trust it? No. So that's what we're trying to do there. And that's what we're referring to in regards to blocking these RFC 1918 networks. A lot of the network engineers may know about the actual bogon list. These are the list of IP addresses that should not be seen on the public internet. They're used for reserved purposes, or their private networks, or their multicast broadcast addresses. And if you are getting packets that are having the same source and destination address, then don't do that. A lot of DDoS attacks, what they do is they spoof the originating IP address, so that way you're sending your response to the wrong machines, and we'll talk about that in more detail. So we have what's called BCP 38, Best Common Practice number 38, and this is referring to making sure that anything that is coming into your network is trusted and from a valid source. If it isn't, you should drop it. And what that means is that you basically have your network here, you're the internet service provider, you've got this IP address space here, and you've got a customer or enterprise that has this address space. If I now start seeing packets with the customer's address space coming to my network, should I trust it? If it's coming from this network, yes. But if it's coming from someone else, or this network here is sending a different IP address, should I trust it? And so if it's saying, hey, I'm really from this IP address range, I'm going to say, we're going to drop that. And again, if we have the wrong one there. A simple access control list will allow you to do that. So you can say, permit this IP address, but deny everything else. I mentioned that the Cisco access control list has a default deny by default. A good idea is that you should explicitly state in your configuration that you're denying. So that way there is no misinterpretation of that list. But not only that, once you've specified that you want to deny something, you can now log that to track how many packets have been received in that match. And so it makes it a little bit easier to do some investigations and so on. Whereas if you just do the explicit deny where it just does it by default, you aren't able to investigate how many packets were received. Other information that you might want to do is look at the protocols that you are required in your network, deny those, But you need to do that for both IPv4 and IPv6. And that's where when people are actually starting to deploy IPv6, they don't realise that, and they've got the IPv4 network all hardened with no issues, but the IPv6 is wide open. How many of you, obviously I've asked this question so many times, most of you are using Windows environments. Do you realise that you actually have IPv6 enabled by default? Yep. And it's communicating across your network. So if you've got a printer on your network, it's going to be sending packets to that printer. And as a pen tester, if I've got access to an enterprise network, and if they've locked it down for IPv4, I start listening for IPv6 addresses, and it's amazing what you can find. It's a gold mine. Figure out what your filter traffic destined to your core routers, making sure that you have a base of what your network traffic looks like. If you don't know what your network traffic looks like or what is normal, how do you know what is strange or should be investigated? So as a minimum, you should be looking at your network and deciding what you see as normal traffic. And that's what this is trying to do here. Identify what your core addresses are, figure out which protocols you have and where they're going to and why they're going there. Best practices, I've already talked about most of those. Any questions? We're covering a lot in a short amount of time. Is it your turn or is it my turn still? Any questions? Hopefully I'm not scaring you away. Did anyone find the Shodan website useful?
What time is it? About 12:30. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Afan Basalama. I'm from ethnic community trainer. I'm based in Bandung, in Indonesia. If you, it's used to be the Shane, the lead trainer, will give this session, but unfortunately she cannot come. So I, as the community trainer, will help deliver the material. If you have, since I'm the community trainer, the job of the community trainer is used to bridge between the lead trainer and in the community. So if any of you have a question, whether in English or maybe you want to say in Bahasa Indonesia, it's okay. But for this moment, I will try to present in English. I guess we will start. It will end in the 12:30 or 12:30. So this slide is quite a lot, but I will try to deliver it and give you some meaningful. I hope you get a meaningful understanding about it. We talk about right now is security fundamentals, and so to define security, let's talk about the definition. What is the definition of the security? What's the terms that you need to know about the term like a CIA? It's not that CIA in the United States, but CIA as a term of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And also talk about attack on the different layer. When we talk about security, usually there's a definition about that you have resources that you need to protect. And when we, as an industry, we connect our resources to the internet, we usually connect to internet, usually have the motivation. We have the information system for our organization, especially in the government, in the education, in the ISP. They provide connectivity to the resources. But since you are connecting it to the public internet, usually there's a way that you need to protect your system, or else you will get attacked. Someone will attack your network, your resources, even if it's like the first time you connect to the network, usually someone from somewhere they try to break into your system. And it's not like the attack is something that they plan. They plan, okay, I want to attack your network. It usually is quite kind of rare this time. But usually what's happened is the attack on the network is become like an industry, like a criminal industry working around 24/7 around the world. People in some part of the internet try to attack other people, and they use it like, do you believe there's somewhere in the other part of the world, there's a company like we used to go to the office, they have the lanyard, they go to the, okay, I take the, go to the gate, go to each floor, go to my office, go to my desk, go to my workstation, and what I see here is a job that you attack this network, you DDoS this part of network, you give ransomware to this computer. There's an industry on other part of the world. That it's like, it's kind of different when we talk about like 20 or 30 years ago, when the attacker is like a young guy who was walking at night with a hood. They turn off the light. So it's like the clip art you see on the internet when you Google and say hacker, you say Google image, you find the picture. Right now, the attacker is like it's people who are working on the office. They go at 9 a.m., they go home at 5 p.m. with a job to attack other people. So what you need to do to protect it is you need to have some management, some framework to protect your network either way. And that way you need to define how do you protect your network. You need to understand the resources. You need to understand how they will try to breach your network and how to secure your assets, your inventory. You think about when compare it to the physical security, you need to secure like a box filled with golds. How do you protect it? You need to put the gold in the lock. You need to put it on the very big, what is it, the brankas, you know. And you need to put it on the secure lock. You need to put the guard on it. You put the guard on 24/7 with three shifts, because you need to understand it. So this is the thing that we talk about the security breaches. There's a lot of it. If you read the news, there's a lot of things going on with IT security. For example, they stole the data from the company called Ticketmaster. Sorry. So from the company Ticketmaster, they steal the data. Have you look at the internet and see the page called haveibeenowned.com? It's actually they save their website. They collect the information that is got out to the internet, the amount of the compromised website, the compromised accounts that you can see. If you, for example, myself, I have at least how many services that I have. I have a Google password, Apple password, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, a lot of account of which I've been accessed. Usually, I use I don't use one single password and use it to all of them. But I use like maybe 3 or 4 passwords that I remember, and I try to combine with the different letter, small letter, capital letter, use like change the letter A into the @ sign, try to change the adding numbers, but usually those passwords are going to be leaked on the internet. So that's why you need to start thinking about you cannot use some password that's already on the list of that website, because it will be easy. People, if you have the public website with the login on it, someone will try to brute force your password with the small easy guess. Maybe like admin, user admin is just don't do that. Admin 1, admin with bigger A, min 1, maybe with another sign, maybe, but that's a way that you need to make sure that your information doesn't arrive in that website. Have I been O? You change O into the P. Have I been pwned.com? Yes, you can try to open the website and try insert your password. You can see that website and try to understand that your information maybe it's casually it's already on that website. Why? Because like your information at many times some hacker, some bad guy go to get access to the information provider, and they tell they give the list all of the user account and password of that of the organization to the dark web. They say dark web because it's usually some private website. You cannot easily access it, but from some community they can access the website and they add the data. Maybe you want to try that.
So I've noticed that some people are getting green, which is fantastic. But if you want to see what it looks like when it's red, try Bill, as in Bill Gates. So bill@gates.com. That one I know has been compromised, and it will give you a listing of the potential where the compromise occurred, what year it occurred. And so it might be through, not necessarily from the original website, but might be through LinkedIn. How many of you use social media? So some social media accounts have gotten compromised, or most websites now want you to use an email address as your username. That username is now linked to you because it's an email address. The issue with that is that it's hard. A lot of people find it harder to change the email address than to change
The password.
why a user name account. So that can be an issue as well. But if you see that your account has been compromised because of linkedin.com, have you reset your password since that data breach occurred? If you haven't, you could be susceptible for account takeover.
Okay, so this we can discuss about how to protect your account from this kind of information breach. Usually, you will want to change your password, and for some information provider, they try to give you like the multi-factor authentication, or you maybe heard the term MFA. They will adding you another way to authenticate using maybe like one time password. You, before you log in, they will present you with numbers that you can fill it by yourself. But we can discuss about that. So this is also a website that tried to track and archive website defacement. At the time, website defacement is quite common because there's a way like a hacker group or someone from hacker group tried to tell, okay, I have hacked this website because its website had the configuration problems. They have some vulnerabilities, so some people can have access to that. Usually, they can come from a lot of things, maybe like from vulnerability in the operating system, maybe on the web server, maybe from the application that you used to build on your web server. For example, if you have a simple web server, you'll usually use some framework like maybe the simplest one, the WordPress, or maybe like other one like it used to be the Drupal or something. You usually don't build a custom website. Usually just use a pre-formatted website that already there, and you fill your information. But sometimes this website and also quite common happen in the organization like education and the government, because usually you build website once, maybe like some project in 1 year, and after that you don't put your effort to maintain that website, to update the operating system, update the web server software, to update all of the security patch, and the hacker used that flaw to gain access to the website. So it's like I tell you, like the one website get hacked too many times by different hacker group. So this one, like, okay, I have access to your website. No, I can. They hack the website again, and they hack the website again by other different hacker group. And but actually, this like even though it's like a scary, they can get access to a website, but it's like I found out it's not the most dangerous one, because you know that you have been hacked. But what happens if you don't know you have been hacked? It's much more scarier. So it's like other ways that more scarier than the defacement is that when you happen to get your data exposed, and it's happened a lot of times, in a lot of organization, and even in the organization that sell you the security service, it's happened. You saw this a company. The company, there are some companies in the security world, it's like very popular. I can name like 3 or 4 company that in the recent year they get so many times they have security vulnerabilities. They ask their customer to go upgrade your service because it has vulnerabilities. It's like funny to me because you sold security service. How can you sell security service when you're also getting hacked? You also have security vulnerabilities. It's like I don't really understand that. So we talk about, after we see that what happened in security, we talk about the terms. Because we talk the terms, we can talk about the framework we can use to how to secure your infrastructure, how to secure your asset in the organization. The first one is actually the asset. Asset is a thing that we try to protect. We can talk about the information part of the information security. It's not the physical security when we talk about physical fences and guards and security camera. We talk about the information. We talk about resources here. Resources here, the physical on the virtual. You talk about physical server. You talk about the one data center office. One data center office usually has one specific floors. Specific floor has one rooms to become a data center. You put your server on it. Usually you put your server on the rack, right? You put server on the rack. You power the rack with the power. You provide cooling on it. And you put your server on it. You put your server. You power on the server. You connect to the network. So you need the switches. You need the router. Maybe some access point also for the wireless. But also, we talk about the virtual resources. Each server usually configured with a CPU on it. CPU, how many gigahertz, how many cores, CPU cores. You talk about memory, how many gigabytes of your server memory. You talk about network bandwidth. You talk about connected to 1 gigabit Ethernet. You talk about 10 gigabit Ethernet. And also there are also filter resources of your resources. Like you talk about right now you're not using your one server for one application. You use it virtualization, right? You use it like the modern one. They use the containerized infrastructure. You talk about installing like virtualization platform like VMware. You talk about the Proxmox. You talk about host, how many virtual machine on that. One large server usually can host like 20, 30 VM at the same time. So you see one server, but you see there are 20 virtual server on it. The numbers can be a lot. You talk about hundreds or maybe thousands of assets to secure if you use the virtualization. But this is the asset we're talking about. But second one we talk about is a threat. A threat is a circumstance or event with it try to tell you that something can happen if you don't. Something can happen to your asset. For example, something that is intentional. You talk about someone try to hack in the network, someone try to DDoS your network. Maybe they want to steal your data. Maybe they want to change your website. Maybe they want to fill your bandwidth. They call it DDoS. DDoS like denial of service. Like you have a bandwidth from your server to the internet service provider. Maybe it's like 110 gigabyte. The DDoS attacker tried to fill your bandwidth with 10 gigabyte of unused bandwidth. So your legitimate user cannot get access to your server. So that's intentional. But sometimes there also a company insider or theft. Maybe someone who just get fired from the company. They get disgruntled and so, oh, okay, I'm disappointed for the company. I'm angry. I want to delete all of the data of this company. They can do that. Why? Because they are the insider. If you don't do something to cut the access when they they get fired, you cannot do nothing, because you try to prevent the attack from the outside, but otherwise the attack coming from inside, right? And so they also like threat, like accidental. Maybe someone forget to do something. Maybe they mistype the command. You know, you mistype the command and suddenly you just delete all of your data. Sometimes it can happen because in Linux you can use rm, you type rm space minus rf space slash, and you suddenly delete all of your data on your server. But there's sometimes it can happen. How can you do to prevent it? You create backups. You create a copy of your data somewhere. And a natural disaster, like I remember how many years ago in Jakarta when the flood is coming and your data center is on basement. So water goes into your basement. Your data is at least your server is down, but I don't know about the data. At least the data is still intact, but I don't know about earthquake or storm or flood, or maybe like someone. It's like natural disaster, but it's not. Like what happened? The fire. When someone who has access have the data, some other part of the organization doesn't like that you have access to your data. Maybe some criminal guy. So they try to burn that data center. It can happen. Your data is lost. Why? Because your data center is burned. All of them are on fire. It can happen. So what happened to this is a threat. Threat is like something you need to anticipate. So we talk also about the vulnerability. Vulnerability is something that happen in software implementation. It can happen if you have a asset, right? You have a server. You install your server with operating system. That operating system maybe have some bugs. Some like virtualization software have bugs that allows each other host to connect to each other, even though it should be separated. It's software bugs. Maybe some protocol bugs or design flaws. Maybe something happened in the protocol implementation of some software. Maybe like a DNS software. Maybe like a router software has a problem. That's maybe a protocol bug. Or maybe a misconfiguration. You configure it, your router wrong. Suddenly you just go black hole other people traffic. This is what happens if you don't do the routing security, BGP routing security. When it can happen, suddenly you advertise someone's network and the black hole their original network. You talk about insecure authentication. You talk about insecure authentication, maybe weak passport, just like Warren just tell, and the Cisco config. You don't have two-factor or multi-factor MFA authentication. It can happen. Unvalidated inputs. For example, there's a technique called SQL injection. You can see it on the internet. It's a technique. If you configure your application wrong, and sometimes when you do it from application to access a database, some SQL configuration can be used to get access to the database without any other authentication. You can change the database. That's called SQL injection. Some thing like cross-site scripting is like when you configure your application, it's not right, something can happen. And we talk about physical security. What's a physical security? That's a case, you can see on the slide. this happen when someone try to get access to the server. They can just pretend dress as a computer technician, and they get access to the security desk. Okay, I'm the security technician, and they don't then verify it. They give a false name and signature. They get access to the top security main floor. And actually, a lot of example can be seen when you see the Hollywood movies. Maybe you watch Hollywood movies like, have you watched Mission Impossible when the Tom Cruise goes to the roof of the Burj Khalifa tower? They go from outside, and they go from the window and easily just insert the USB that filled with the hacking virus to get access to the mainframe. It's that just actually poor security, because if you go to secure your server, you need to put your server in the rack, and you put a key on it. You put key on it, and you can also disable the USB port from that server, so the server can be configured only by the authorized people. Like this is the thing that we see. Okay, Warren.
So we're talking about USB devices and being able to access the computer. Have you actually seen devices like that? So there's a tool called a rubber ducky. And so if you go to a website called Hack5, HAK5.com, they sell hardware equipment that you can utilize for ethical hacking or other reasons. How many of you use cables to charge your devices?
Everybody.
Everybody does. So have you heard of the OMG cable? So the OMG cable actually inserts payloads into the end of the USB device to attack the different devices. So if you go to Hack5, you'll be able to have a look at that. If I can see an open network port on a device or in the wall, there's this device here. It's called a Shark Jack. And this is not for USB, so endpoint devices, but this is for the network. On the network, it looks like a normal Ethernet cable. And so I can plug that in, and then I can either get it in listening mode where it just saves the traffic, or it runs a particular payload on the network, a script, or I can get it to act like a device to allow me access to your network. So I can then use the USB-C cable and maybe a small throwaway phone that allows me to get remote access to this, to your network, if I wanted to. Something that you can run on your net as part of an ethical penetration testing. So this is why you want to lock down ports, so you don't have this device on your network undiscovered. But the Hack5, the Black Friday specials are on at the moment. They're not cheap anymore. They used to be very cheap. If you go to Temu, you can actually buy a smaller version of the rubber ducky off their website for a few dollars, but they're a couple of $100 US now for some of those tools. So they've become very popular. There's Wi-Fi Pineapple, there's the Land Turtle, there's all sorts of devices. And the cables. I haven't quite brought myself to buy the cables yet, but I'm being tempted. They're too expensive though.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot of thing that can going on if you understand about security part. So like there's a way for organization, they want to protect the resources. It's like if you have Ethernet connectivity, you don't let it just like open and like you have a hub or a switch in your home. You need to protect it with some kind of measures. Maybe like protecting it with 802.1x authentication. Maybe you need to just if I don't use it, I'll just shut down the port. Right. That's why you need to buy the network equipment that can be remotely configured to to configure each port to be on or off. That's the way we can do. So the other term we talk about is a risk. It's the potential for loss or damage or asset. It's caused by the threat exploiting vulnerability. It's like the product of the threat and the vulnerability can give leading to risk. We're talking about if you have a very important website. It's like a website for the when I was arrived in an airport, they tell me to sign to the website that allows me to access my give information about myself, the custom website. What happened if someone there's something in the customs website that has vulnerabilities on it? It can be exploited, and it leading to risk. And risk is like when the people arrive in the airport, they cannot get access to the website. It's make things it has problems. People will see, oh, well, what happened? The website is down. But public website that serve lots of customers is down. You're talking about the risk, because why? Because the risk because it has the vulnerabilities that happen on the asset. Okay, so this like we say that the risk is the threat. Risk is byproduct of the threat and the vulnerabilities. Or talk about more detail, it's a risk, it's an asset or impact times the threat times the vulnerability. We can see it by usually swing as this. Risk is equal threat times vulnerability. Maybe its threat is 5, but vulnerability is 6. We talk about risk number of like 30. But what happens if we see we multiply it by number of asset on it? If asset number is a lot, and you talk about okay, the risk number it just went up, but what happened is the asset number is gain a lot, so the risk is also goes up. It's like you're talking about the number of the asset on your site that has the same vulnerability. For example, maybe you're talking about because I know most of the people in the networks right now usually learn MikroTik before they learn Cisco, because MikroTik is easier to get. But MikroTik also have some vulnerabilities if you don't follow the release cycle of the Micro. You need to know the number of your version. Maybe MikroTik router OS 6 version how many to the MikroTik router OS 7. Okay, you need this also the thing that you as a network administrator knows, that you need to follow the news for your vendor, for your provider. Usually when you use like MikroTik, you need to know, okay, this new software release, they fixed the vulnerability, so you need to upgrade. Especially if your network depends on it, you have lots of equipment, you need to do that. Because why? Because it's as a number of assets grown that the risk factor is also grown. You're talking about if you have collect all of the assets, you can create like a risk matrix. Usually, it's a way for you to understand when someone from the your manager or your boss asks you, "Are we secure?" You can give them some numbers, some opinion. It's not opinion; it's opinion based on data. So you know that okay, Sorry, I just take this one, because you're talking about the number of likelihood and the impact on the consequence. If the likelihood is low, then impact on the consequence is low, then we talk about risk matrix is low. But likelihood is medium, and impact is medium. We talk about the moderate. We think about the emergency one. If we talk about the likelihood in the impact of the consequence. This the thing that I myself also is become a contractor for the infrastructure for the telecom. They one of the primary software that I use, I need to follow all of these release notes, all of this knowledge base, because I want to know in each version which vulnerability is already taken down. They will fix the vulnerability on that software. So I need to know, okay, I need to propose to the operator, okay, I need to upgrade this software from the version like version 2 to the version 3, because it already fixed the vulnerabilities. I need to know that then, and I tell them, okay, this vulnerability is a very high likelihood, and it has a consequence. Because if the service from the operator is down, it has some impact on the financial sector. There is a problem on the vulnerability in the availability. So the consequence is high, and the likelihood I can tell from the release note. Okay, this is a vulnerability is highly can be remotely exploitable. So there's also like someone tell you, oh, there's vulnerability on the system, on the software. That vulnerability, sometimes it can give you some information like it can be exploited locally. So if you don't have the remote access capability, then you cannot cannot exploit the vulnerability. But it can, if it says remotely exploitable, I mean someone who can have access to network can exploit the vulnerability, and its likelihood is high, and you need to do action quickly. So this is why we talk about the security definition. What is it? Because it's like high likelihood and low impact. We talk about someone who wants to go to the water, but the water is shallow. When low likelihood and low impact, well, usually we just maybe wait for the next time we will try upgrade software. But we're talking about the low likelihood and high impact. But this is the thing we need to consider. This is high likelihood and high impact, so it can be dangerous. You need to work it out to fix the vulnerabilities on the system, and to make sure that you don't have you can have the impact of the consequence. So this like risk matrix that we discuss. We talk about recent vulnerabilities. So if this usually happens, if someone coming from the network administrator, you talk about the equipment on your site. What is the equipment they use? You use a router. What a router it uses? Maybe use a MikroTik, maybe use a Cisco, maybe use Juniper. So you ask yourself, what's the version it runs? And you need to see the website of the vendor, maybe the website of the MikroTik. What the MikroTik use? What software they use? You need to look at the release note of each version. What if it's have vulnerabilities? So you need to make sure that your system has the newest software that already fixed the vulnerabilities. If you use Cisco, you need to look at the website, which equipment that you use, which software that you use. You need to see what's the version of the software. If you are like administrator of something important, maybe use the DNS software. Or what's the software that you use? Do you use IC bind, or you use Unbound? Each of the software has the website for this their software version. You need to look at the version number and you compare it to yours. If you have the server, you need to check. If you talk about operating system, what operating system they use? Maybe you use Linux. What type of Linux? I use Ubuntu. Which version of it? Maybe it's like right now the newest one is the 25.10, But the long-term services that what most people are using is like 24.04 LTS version, because next year they will launch 26.04 LTS. That's the version you need to know, and to check whether it has a vulnerability on that, or and also if you're using you're hosting public website, what the web server what they're using, maybe using Apache, maybe using Nginx, maybe using other type of website. You need to check. And also if you are thinking about, okay, I have some load balancer, you're using like a F5. If there's software, they need to check whether there's vulnerability on it. It is the most simplest thing that we can do, because if you talk about the higher stack of the software, you usually talk about the application is quite hard. But for we talk about in this community, in this network operator, that the first simplest thing is to check for the version of the software. So you talk about thing about the CVSS is Common Vulnerability Scoring System. It's like the system to translate the characters and the impact. You can say, okay, this is dangerous. How dangerous? This is the system that help to tell you how dangerous it is. You using just talk in this website, you can see that some application, it has a base score of CVS 10. It's like very, 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 very dangerous. You talk about the metric in here. You talk about the factor, the impact score, the exploitability score. You talk about the attack complexity low. It means it can be breached very quickly. You talk about integrity high, availability high. It is something that's dangerous at the time. So you need to check whether your application has dependency on it. And some of I found that the real world application is like the last one is the Log4j. Log4j, I believe there's a software that used to be in the information system that has a very high vulnerability like this. You should need to upgrade. It's as a lot of people talking in around the world. You need to. So I guess basically you need to, if you work in some sector, you talk about become network administrator or system administrator. You need to understand which thing that you are operating, and you need to know all of the news about it, the latest news about it. So when it comes to update your system, you are ready to do that. Okay, it's like the terms we talk about is like mitigate. Mitigate is to reduce, to prevent. At least we can do things that what happened. You found that your system is not secure. You can do it by applying security control. There are three of them. The first time is the preventive, detective, and corrective. Or you can do by the type of control: legal and regulatory compliance, physical, technical, administrative, or procedural. We'll see that. Okay, another term is talking about the threat actor. When people talk about threat actor, usually it's someone try to do something to your system. We talk about the attacker or hacker. The name is changing all the time, but the thing is we can do is using the word threat actor or a malicious actor. So this configure is like a categories. Like opportunistic. Opportunistic is like a young man. Maybe they become interested in cybersecurity. They have a laptop. They install the Kali Linux. Have you heard Kali Linux? Anyone using Kali Linux? Kali Linux. And they say, "Whoa, this is interesting. I can hack someone's network." Right? They just young men. They don't know the consequence about it. They do the network scan and they find out, oh, your your website is unsecure. I will hack it using the Metasploit framework. Enter, and suddenly the website is defaced or has impact on it. It's opportunistic. It's not dangerous right now because maybe the impact you have is like they change your website. But the number two is hacktivist is someone, one people or some organization who try to hack your organization because they believe in something that your organization they have different or opposition opinion. So they will try to hack a website, try to change your website, but I don't know about that right now. But this is the third one. So number three is a cyber criminal. This is what I'm talking to you. Let's see. It's I believe it's in the story in here in Russian. I believe there's a company. There's a cyber criminal right now. It's become like company. It's not like a one or organization. It's become like company. A company that you can order to hack someone. So they go to the the rule in, I believe, in Russia or other Eastern Europe part is that you can become company and you promise not to attack your own country. So they can attack other people, other countries, network, other countries, organization, but not your country. Say they became like an office. This like they came like a corporate. You come to the office. You sit on your desk with a job to attack the network, to send ransomware to this organization, to give DDoS to other network. It become a company. And the fourth one is a very dangerous because it's when the hacker is a nation state or state sponsor, you have no chance. Your network basically will be obliterated. They will get access to you. But actually right now, there are some countries that have some hacker group, state sponsor hacker group, something like North Korea maybe. North Korea or China. But the strongest one are from the like the strongest one. Strongest one is always United States and Israel. The strongest one. If you get hacked by this, and you basically have no chance. An insider is actually someone from inside your network that they have legitimate access. They are motivated to do something when they suddenly get fired. They feel dissatisfied by the corporation. Before they leave, they will plan some remote access on that system, and when they already leave, they can get access to the system to steal the data and do something about it. That's a threat actor or malicious actor. You can also try to tell them to assess them by organization. If your organization is like a small business company, usually you don't worry about this, like these three. But for you, it's a small company. But if you are a government agency unit, you are a government, a military, or education, usually need to have something to assess about what's your what's your enemy. I don't know. It's like you need to assess. After that, you can go, okay, this type of our threat actor. This talk about access control. Access control is some terms that you define to who that you want to give access of your resources. You talk about this triple A, like you talk about triple A. There's abbreviation about authentication. Who is the user? You need to authenticate who can access the network. Like what's the name of the user? The second one is the authorization. this user, what it can do, what he can do, what she can do. So it's like, okay, there's a user that can only view the configuration, but they can do nothing about it. They cannot restart the system. They cannot change the configuration. But you can also set like administrative user. They can do change the configuration. They can restart, reboot the system. You can do that. And accountability. So you need to see, you need to have logs of what user can do if they already inside the system. So they know they've been watching. So it's like you have a logs from each keyword, each command that you type to the system. This is the thing that you can do for your network. We talk about authentication in details. We talk about the person, application, or machine. We talk about identification comes before authentication. You provide username to establish subject identity. And also for identity, you can have like a three identities that you can use. The first one is what you know the password, you know the fast phrase, you know the PIN number. This thing that you know that can be changed. The second one is what you have. You have a token. You have the like a smart card. You have RFID. You have this one. I have this in my possession here. It's like this. Maybe you know this one. This is like a USB, but it's actually a key. USB. They call it. They built by Ubico, called YubiKeys. YubiKeys is you put your private key on it. So for some provider, I'm using it on my Twitter account, my Google account. After you put your username and password, they will ask you about this key. If you log from your new workstation or new laptop or new browser, they will ask you this. So it helps you to make your account less getting hacked or less getting breached. If you have a Google account or maybe a very important account or email account that support the multi-factor, this or also support this YubiKey, use it because it makes the breach more difficult, because you don't know what happened if it's happened and you suddenly get loss of your account because someone changed your account and password. You just lose it. Oh, sorry. We talk about the last one here is who you are. You talk about who you are. You talk about biometrics. You talk about your fingerprint. You talk about retinal scan, signature, or voices. But if you have a laptop with an Apple MacBook, they have a Touch ID. If you have a Windows laptop, you have Windows Hello Business. They can identify your face. That's what you have. So this strong authentication is a thing. It's like become obligatory right now, because this unit have like two-factor authentication. The first is password. The second is tokens. Something you have. It's like, for example, I have this YubiKey, and if you have a smartphone, you can also install the application. Some of the first one is a Google Authenticator. Have you it? Google Authenticator. But also you can use something like Authy. Authy is an application in your phone that can save the token of the one-time password of your application in the internet. If you can use it, it means your account become more secure. You can password token, pins, biometric certificates. Okay, this is the authentication types that you know. you can have the factor type, the password. We can assess on each one. Password is security type is weak, but deployability is strong. Usability is strong, but phishing resistant is weak. Have you know about phishing? Someone that makes the very same copy of your website. They make a copy of your like a Google website. So you think it's Google, but it's not. So you enter your identity, your username and password, and the hacker get your username and password. If you don't use it with the other type of protection, then you will get your password get caught and line it up on that website of the have I been owned. So it can be used. So there are a security question. It can be weak, strong, usability moderate, but phishing resistant is weak. SMS, voice, email, factor type. So if you enter your username and password, they will ask you, okay, the number of your you have a one-time access passcode. They send you to email. This security moderate, but the deployability is strong, usability is strong. Phishing resistance is moderate, so become a little bit more hard to someone to phish your account. There are software OTP, physical OTP. Physical OTP usually come just before the software OTP. If someone, if you have a company called RSA, they have a physical OTP. Actually, I have it in my banking account. It's just a key with like a small calculator. It can you type the number 1, and you press enter. They give you like a 6 number of random, but actually it's not random. It's actually a physical OTP. But right now people are using the software OTP because it's easier to deploy. Also push verification, YubiKey. There's like have. Or
Can I just go back to you? No, go to that. So looking at the security questions, just a bit of a hint here. How many of you answer the security questions truthfully? So what was your first pet's name? What city was your parents born? Where did you go to school? Do you answer those truthfully? Because if you do and you've got social media, it doesn't take much for me to do what's called open source intelligence.
OSINT.
Yeah,
OSINT.
Yeah.
OSINT.
So being able to do that. So if you get asked a question like, what was the model of your first car? I would look at something in the room and go, pen, and write that down. That's got nothing to do with a car. That's where you then need to make sure that you get a listing of your security questions and what your random answer was. You don't answer with truthfully. So what is your middle name? Make something up. Chair, roof, carpet, ABC 1 2 3. It doesn't need to be real. You don't need to tell them the truth. It's only when you are validating that you need to know what the answer is. So you can increase your security by just answering the questions differently to what would be normal answers.
Okay. Thank you. That's a very good tip because right now I find that the question that they ask is about when you build your first Microsoft account, Microsoft on the Windows account on the laptop. They ask you this 3 question, but usually I just get one of this USB key and ISO that loads up, and they boot and try to delete the username account on the Windows. I just have that one. So that's a thing that become more not use it like from the identity provider, famous identity provider called the Google, Microsoft, Apple, and other they usually just try to move to those two above. They use push verification, it is YubiKey OTP, use WebAuthn as their authentication because it's easier to them. Have you ever used when you account log into Google or the YouTube and they will ask you to verify on your phone. You know that it's like a push verification, or maybe use something like I use an ethnic website called Okta. So when you want to access the information, they will give you the security question on your phone device that you own, and they try to verify the numbers. They give you the website, the number you type in device, the same number. After you verify, it's me who would like to access the information. They like people that are moving to this tree in the bottom, because it's like more secure, very less chance for you to get account to be taken. This the the people try to defend your account to make sure your account more secure, but it's not 100% impossible to get access to your account. Something can happen. So we talk about all the other skill definition like authorization. Authorization is like the rights of what you can do after you get access to the system. We'll talk about roles, group, location, time. It is I found out that the most sophisticated ways to authorization is like right now it's coming from the Microsoft. If you subscribe the Microsoft 365 with the highest account possible, it allows you to verify your access. Like I can be like, I can have a good password, I can have the token, but they need to verify where am I at the time. Maybe if I'm in some place that is not destined to get the access, I cannot get the access. That's like a type of authorization that they can use. You can check in the feature on the Microsoft 365, especially in Microsoft Entra. That's the name of their identity services. It's very like there are thousands of pages that you can read to configure their type of security to make sure the system is secure. This thing about authentication, what's the difference? It's authentication versus authorization. So basically, authentication is define who you are, but authorization define what you can do after you enter the system. So this makes it easy to remember. So this the concept what the authorization creep, it's like someone who was too lazy to configure the authorization. Oh, okay, just give some senior people the highest admin possible. Okay, this manager account can have access, full control. It can read, update, delete. This is like, it's called authorization creep. You think about default to 0. You build access from the 0. You give access only to what's needed. And this is also the concept that's grown to the what you call if you have heard the term zero trust access network. Zero trust access network basically a type of network that allows you to only get access after you get configured. Okay, this identity can get access to which resources, and you can configure it. If you don't have the identity, then means you're gonna get access. A need to know privilege. That's like the concept of how to mitigate this authorization creep. And access control list. It's like when you know what is the ACL. This the list the user allows to perform access to the object. You're talking about since we have in organization, we have usually we build information system. You build a lot of things. You have a financial information system. You have a HR information system. You have like your other information system. Usually people don't want to end up with a lot of password in their head for each information system. Usually that's why the Google service is like, people will use it. Why? Because you only remember one password, and you can access to get access to all of them, all of the system. It's called the single sign-on or SSO. But actually, in an organization, you can recreate it by yourself. But it's even though it's quite not too difficult, but not too easy either. You can get the access like you build on the top of a Kerberos or Radius or SAML on OpenID, but you need to mix it with a multi-factor authentication on, because if one account get breached, you can get access to all your information system. It's what happened when I was before I worked in AMNIC. I used to work in a university. I developed the single sign-on information system, and we tried to put on each every it was a time like at least more than 20 or 50 information system for like the faculty they can have access to that. So each information system needs to connect to the single sign-on. Or other one is the security definition or accountability. It's a security goal, so you need to make sure your security system can be traced. It's like accounting. You cannot deny sending information. Receiver cannot deny receiving it. User cannot deny performing certain action. Why? Because everything is being logged. You need to log all of the system, whether it's in identity or in the resources by itself. So what is the term? Term like a non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means that you cannot deny, oh, I didn't access that. No, you can't deny it because it's already written that you access the system at this time from this IP address on this workstation. You talk about accountability. Talk about integrity. Integrity is the security goal that general requirement to protect the data. Protect the data against either intentional or accidental attempt to violate the data integrity. Means that only the authorized subject can change the data. You cannot change the data using unauthorized manipulation. So this security control layering that we do, you think about the type of control. What's the type of control? Talk about the physical and technical and administrative. And time effective during attack. We talk about preventive, which is before the attack. We talk about detective when time is happened, when it's a corrective, it's when it's already happened. So what do we gonna do with that? So we used to build this using a type and the preventive, detective and corrective, type and time. You're talking about the first one is the preventive, and administratively you prevent the attack by put some of the administrative rules. And the second one, at the time of the attack it happened, you need to know how you can know for sure, okay, this attack happening, so what can I do to solve it. The third one is to become a physical and corrective to make sure that the event doesn't happen again. So this is the type of security control that we can use. So the other type of security definition is a defense in depth. Defense in depth, and basically you put the defense, it's a layer. For example, in this castle in here, what you see in the castle, you see there are how many layers you can see here. The first one is this one. This, what do you call it? The moat, the small river that some attacker cannot breach from this angle. They will attack here, but they found the water, so it will be difficult for them. They go to swim. Maybe the water has a crocodile on it, so they will bite the people who go to the moat. And the second one is the heavily fortified walls. You know, the walls here usually have this like 1, 2, and 3, and the bigger one and this bigger one, as they need to breach the wall, but in the old time usually has a archer on it. You see the movies like the Lord of the Ring when they try to breach the city wall, and there's usually an archer on it. They try to hit the one who would try to breach the castle. But what happened after it's breached? It has another moat, another river. I don't know, maybe filled with the crocodile at least, and make very difficult for people to go to there. You cannot get the very heavy equipment to breach the water. But what happened after you get breached? You have another walls. You have another walls with the archer as very very high. You cannot go breach it, and only after that you can get access to this resource there. The resort is the castle, but it's protected by 2 walls and 2 moat. Okay, this thing we can, you want to have a bar of gold to protect. You're talking about what container you put on it, because you cannot make it the gold like laying on the table like that. You need to put the container. You put it on the specific rooms. You put the locks on the rooms, because you cannot have rooms that unlock when people could say, hey, there's a gold on the table. Let's get it. You put the locks. Okay, where's the room located in the building? If in the building, do you have a camera? You need security camera to watch for the room, the building. Who human watching the camera? Or if you have CCTV, you need to have an NVR to record the event. You put a motion detector on it, so it only record where only certain movement. And who will respond with force to a theft attempt? So if someone try to get access, maybe there's a silent alarm. Silent alarm calls to the police. Okay, and the last thing, how much all this costs? Because more security means there are a lot cost to put it. So we talk about how to secure the resources, the assets. We talk about the layers of type of security. But after we know in the organizational view, we can make sure that this layer will protect this asset. This layer will protect these assets. Okay, is there any question? Okay, okay then. I guess we are lunchtime, because when I speak, I don't know what time it's already on. Okay, so thank you, and we have lunch. We'll continue after lunch. Thank you. In the same room? The one?
What are there, whether the fields are exactly same, what we are learning here. There is a interesting part. You see next header. This one is a little bit different from IPv4. In IPv4, we have the options that can extend the header, so that's why it's not fixed. But in IPv6, it's fixed. But if I want to enhance the capability of the protocol in future, how can I do that? The header needs to be changed. but the header is fixed. How can I change it? That's why there is something called next header. That means if you need more information added to the header, you don't touch the main header. You put a value there and mention that this is not done. There is a next header that you need to count. But the main header not changed. It's the same. So that's why it's a next header. Like here,